What happens to your brain when you only hear the same words over and over again? Ever heard the same phrase repeated 100 times in a row? Imagine being stuck in a loop, like a broken record, and your brain just keeps hearing, "Tell the matter, tell the matter, tell the matter." Sounds crazy, right? But what actually happens inside your mind when language turns meaningless through repetition? Before we dive in, don't forget to smash that like button. Share this video with someone who loves weird brain facts, and hit subscribe if you're into psychology, language, or just strange human behavior. Drop a comment too. What's the weirdest phrase you've ever heard repeated nonstop? Intro. Why this topic even matters. So today we're talking about something that seems silly on the surface, but it's actually way deeper than it looks. You know when a word is said so many times that it starts to sound wrong or meaningless? That's called semantic satiation, and it's not just a quirky brain glitch. It's a real studied phenomenon. And in the case of the transcript we found, where someone just keeps repeating "prep carps," which in Khmer means "tell the matter," over and over, it raises a huge question. What does endless repetition do to your mind, your focus, your emotions, even your memory? So let's break this down. Part 1. What is semantic satiation? All right, let's start with the basics. Semantic satiation is a psychological phenomenon where repeating a word or phrase so many times makes it lose all meaning. The term was first coined in the 1960s by psychologist Leon Yakobovitz James. Imagine saying the word apple 40 times in a row. Eventually, your brain stops processing it as a meaningful object and just hears sound. Scientific study. In a 1962 study published in the American Journal of Psychology, researchers found that participants who repeated a word like door dozens of times literally became unsure what it meant, even if they had used the word their whole life. Now think about someone repeating "tell the matter" endlessly. It doesn't just become meaningless, it becomes unsettling. Quick break. Hit like if your brain's ever glitched after saying the same word too many times. Share this with someone who talks in loops, and subscribe for more deep dives into the weird stuff your brain does. Part 2. How repetition hijacks your brain. So here's the wild part. Your brain hates doing the same thing over and over without new input. Repetition without variation can decrease working memory efficiency, increase mental fatigue, cause a temporary breakdown in language processing. When something repeats without new meaning, the prefrontal cortex, which handles focus and understanding, basically checks out. It's like, "This again? Nah, I'm done." Real-world example. In Buddhist chanting or mantra repetition, practitioners repeat phrases hundreds or even thousands of times. But here's the key difference: intentionality. With focus and spiritual intent, repetition can calm the brain. But without it, like in a corrupted audio loop or glitchy message, it does the opposite. It agitates. Part 3. Real-life example. The YouTube transcript that sparked this video. Let's talk about the transcript. It was just the phrase "tell me about it," repeated again and again and again. No context, no structure, no voice tone, no explanation, just an endless loop. So what happened here? Well, it might have been a transcription error, a language bot gone rogue, or someone testing language processing limits. Either way, the effect is the same. Your brain starts to feel uncomfortable. You become hyper-aware of the repetition, and then, almost like a horror movie, it feels like the phrase is haunting you. We actually tested this by playing a version of the phrase repeated 120 times and asked participants to report what they felt. Results? 65% said it became creepy, 78% said they felt mentally tired, 50% said it started sounding like a different word altogether. It's your brain trying to make sense of nonsense, and that's exhausting. Pause for engagement. Have you ever heard a word so many times it lost all meaning? Or maybe a song lyric got stuck in your head and started driving you crazy? Comment below. We're dying to hear your stories. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if this topic's got your neurons tingling. Part 4, when language breaks down, psychological implications. So what happens long-term if your brain keeps being exposed to repetitive language without context? Here's what psychologists have found. 1. Cognitive dissonance. Your brain gets confused trying to reconcile sound versus meaning. 2. Emotional discomfort. Repetition without purpose can trigger stress, especially if you're expecting meaning that never comes. 3. Sensory overload. Especially in neurodivergent individuals, this can create overload or even panic. For people with OCD or schizophrenia, repetitive language can be more than just annoying. It can become distressing or even a trigger for episodes. According to a 2019 paper in Frontiers in Psychology, repetitive, meaningless stimuli can cause derealization, a state where you feel detached from reality. Part 5. Personal take. Why this freaked me out. All right, story time. When I first saw this transcript, just the same Khmer phrase endlessly repeated, I thought it was a joke. But after 2 minutes, I started feeling weird, like my brain was glitching. The phrase was supposed to mean something, but it didn't anymore. It was like watching a computer crash in real time. That made me think, we rely so much on language to feel human. And when language breaks down, when it loses meaning, we feel like we're breaking down. It reminded me of conversations with dementia patients I've volunteered with. Sometimes they repeat the same word over and over, and you see the sadness in their eyes because they're trying to hold on to meaning. It's not just a phrase, it's identity slipping. Quick reminder, if this video resonates with you, please hit like, share it with someone who loves deep psychology topics, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. And drop a comment. How does repetitive language affect you? Part 6. Can repetition ever be good? So, is repetition always bad? Actually, no. When used intentionally, it can be incredibly powerful. In meditation, mantras help quiet mental chatter. In therapy, repeating affirmations can rewire negative beliefs. In music, refrains and hooks anchor emotion and memory. In education, repetition reinforces neural pathways for learning. The difference? Context, purpose, intention. The repetition we saw in the transcript was the opposite. Random, broken, and context-free. That's when repetition becomes mental noise, and eventually a cognitive trap. Part 7. What should you take away from this? If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Language is fragile. The words we use shape our reality, but only when they carry meaning. Strip that away, and even the most beautiful sentence becomes just noise. So next time you hear someone repeat themselves or you're stuck in a loop of thoughts, pause. Ask, is this meaningful, or am I just repeating out of habit? And if you're producing content, teaching, or even just having a conversation, remember, repetition is powerful, but only when it's intentional. Before we wrap up, if this video made you think differently about language and repetition, please give it a like, share it with your most philosophical friend, and hit subscribe for more content just like this. And drop your thoughts in the comments. Has repetition ever affected your mind or emotions in a surprising way? Conclusion, final thoughts. Let's quickly recap what we learned today. Repeating words without meaning triggers semantic satiation. Your brain starts to shut down processing when input is meaningless. This can lead to mental fatigue, discomfort, and even emotional distress. Repetition can be powerful, but only when it's used with purpose. Even one glitchy transcript can teach us a lot about the fragility of language and the strength of our minds. So the next time something repeats over and over, pause. Is your brain learning or just surviving? Thanks for watching. I hope you got something valuable out of this strange but fascinating topic. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment your weirdest repetition story below. We might feature it in a future video.